happens to be a chart that I've not brought up in a wee while. You can see that the measured move, by the way, not the measured move, but the target that we had in here at this point here, and obviously I was telling folk that, you know, you trade with the trend. Here's your pattern. Let's just jump up to the 2-day time frame, right? Here's the pattern I had identified, whatever. Then I'd spoken about the different risk levels. I talked about what you would need to see happen if you were to take either of these two moves. Then, of course, what has happened is this one's essentially, you know, happened now, and that's fantastic. Great. Another chart here that's potentially got moves, etc., drawn out on it. No, where is it? Here. Nope, this is obviously different explainers. There's something here, there's something. Where is it? Excuse me. Is it the Bitstamp chart? The Bitstamp chart. I think it is. Yeah, okay, cool. So, as you can see here as well, we obviously came up and got our second target. Now, this isn't secrets. Lots of people are talking about these sorts of targets and whatever else, but this is our third target. The next one, 58,000, if we continue to go towards the top side. Would be nice to see it happen. Of course, we've seen a big pullback today. I already explained earlier on in the show some of the sort of the reasoning for that with regards to stop hunts, etc. I'd like to point out the fact that we've got diminishing volume throughout this movement towards the top side. I'd like to point out the fact that they are coming in for the potential for a golden, you know, a positive cross here on the no sure thing, but of course we've been experiencing the negative one throughout the period of time where we've moved towards the top side during this phase here. So, you know, we need to see this cross soon, and it probably will cross fairly soon. Anyway, so that's decent enough. You can see that we've got an upward movement here on the stochastics that's coming in, and of course it's ever so slightly bearishly divergent with these highs. So of course we need to see things going towards the top side and continuing on the way, or else we'll have that divergence on the go. As you can see here as well, the divergence will be in the case on the RSI, but we could continue to trend up the way. What we have seen is that the previous highs that came in without the divergence. Okie dokie. Then we've seen that we had a retrace down the way, and that this retrace came in with, of course, hidden bullish divergence, and then we have come in here with and given the oscillators a nice chance to reset. This is all done on the 2-day time frame. So going back down towards the daily time frame, you see the exact same scenario. It's just got a little bit more detail on the story with regards to the hidden bullish divergence, the convergence on the upside, the resetting of the oscillators, the movements back into the bullish control zone. But as you can see here, there's this little feature on the go right now on the RSI in this area for us, and that's giving us a little bit of a clue as to what's going on. If we jump down again towards a lower time frame, then you get a better, clearer view of this on the go for us, and we can see that in fact, you know, we're in a phase here which is not visible on the charts up above as easily of consolidation towards the end here at a point of resistance where we could then obviously be looking up towards the next target up the way. And it's probably worth pointing out that this is forming up for us in terms of a pattern here again with another wedge. Now, well, so far what we've seen as well with today's price pullbacks is that simply all they've managed to do is come down towards the lower end of the wedge here. So this is not an unpredictable movement, if you want to use words like predictive. Now, of course, I never do. Well, I mean, apart from ironically like I just did there now, but so anyway, there you go. That's where we saw it. It was absolutely within the realms of risk and reason, but what you can see here is that the lows that came in were not lower than the previous lows, of course, right? So while the stochastics is just simply showing us the sort of the triangular effect there on the charts, what you can see here is that the RSI has of course got hidden bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame for us right now to be aware of, and then bringing up the MACD, that it'll not be a surprise at all to you when I eventually get around to zooming this in, and I'm saying this somewhat predictively. Well, no, actually no, yes, okay, so there's this sort of hidden bullish divergence here. We've got this upward trend for us. This is fair enough, but there's a distinct lack of a high in here right now. Okay, so there's a distinct lack of a high in here right now on the MACD as we're coming in for a excuse me, as that's a bit of a mess on the screen. I realize that it is, as we're coming in here for a as we're coming in here potentially for the next high. So what we're seeing here is distinct, you know, 1, 2, 3 instances of bearish divergence with this potential high up here. Very worrying if you want to put it that way, but overall the mitigating factors of this is that this is uncharted territory up in the all-time high zone, and this is what can be expected, you know, and that ultimately you're looking to try and continue on with the trend. So the expectation, despite the fact that this is of course this is bearishly divergent in this section here, that there is some hidden bullish divergence on some oscillators, but it's not across the board on all of them, and all the rest of it. So you know, despite the fact that there's all that negativity on here, what you're looking at is still going to have to be the potential for a measured move towards the top side, coming in with a target of 55 grand just to get outside of this wedge. That'll push us past the divergences. It would burn that off, pop in here and say that, you know, perhaps we're going to come in for another high, perhaps, you know, depends on how things go, and it could push us on towards and propel us up towards that 58 grand target, which we have already got laid out here, before taking us on up higher and higher thereafter. But how are we going to manage ourselves, and how are we going to control our risk in this zone when we consider where we've come from and where we're going? Well, we have this big shock move up the way. This is after our last point of inflection in the market, so taking in a moving average here, or sorry, a Fibonacci retracement point up to the highs that we've got, and then considering the fact that we haven't managed to break the 236. Of course, we've come down and challenged it a couple of times here, for instance with these lows and then these lows, but of course those are the hidden bullish ones. That would, so long as we're above this and continuing this sort of trend on the way, that actually we're going to remain bullish on this in the face of those negative factors. Okay, however, we're also very, very rapidly aware of the crossover point here, because if we do come down past this point, we'll be doing two things at once. We've got confluence between the removal of that as being hidden bullish divergence, and in fact just simply then reverts over to being bearish convergence, and of course then we're breaking past the 236, which in and of itself is a significant thing. We're taking out the market structure lows, but also we're moving outside of the zone of this wedge, in which case drawing a major move back on again and saying where it could take us to would simply be taking us down as low as this blue serrated line here at 42 grand. Now of course that would obviously wipe out everybody on highly leveraged positions. 42 grand is your best buy rebuy point here on Bitcoin if it does have a retrace before continuing up the way. Now, like I say, all of this sort of consolidation type affair that's going on alongside of the divergences that we're seeing at the highs is happening in a zone of course a lack of liquidity here, you know, with regards to the decrease in the volume, and we're seeing the consolidation happen at an area of course resistance, or indeed not necessarily, you know, historical resistance, but pre-predicted if you like profit taken, as denoted by, you know, this target that we drew in the other day, and of course lining up nicely with the measured move off the back of the triangle stuff that we're talking about last week as well. So this is all happening in here at this zone, so we can remain bullish on this with a very easy to, and you know, a strong opinion, loosely held, very easy to adapt and adjust to any new market conditions which may present themselves. Drop the mic. That's your Bitcoin technical analysis done. Okay,